All right, today in this video, we're going to talk about journaling and how it can make a big difference in your injury recovery journey. I'll be honest, I didn't give journaling a real shot until my 7th orthopedic surgery, and I really wish I had tried a lot sooner for a variety of reasons.
You seem very on edge.
But I'd always heard about the buzz around journaling, how it helps with stress, mental clarity, all of the good stuff, but I never gave it a real shot. When it was first introduced to me, I didn't really understand it, didn't really get it. What am I supposed to write about? How do I do it? Does it actually help me, or is it more just busy work or homework? All super basic but important questions. So in this video, we'll keep it real simple. Number one, we'll talk about why to journal. Why is it worth your time and how is it beneficial? Number two, we'll talk about how to do it. We'll cover exactly how to do it with no fluff, no complicated routines, just simple ways to make it work for you. And number three, we'll talk about what to journal. We'll give you some journaling jump starters, we'll call them, quick, easy prompts to get you writing, even if you have no idea where to start. Okay, so jumping into why to journal. A lot of people say, isn't recovery just about resting and doing your rehab exercises and getting through the grind? But recovery isn't just physical, it's a massive mental game as well. And that's what makes recovery hard, isn't just the pain and the slow progress, but the mental struggle that comes along with it. For me, the biggest challenge was that mental toll that the injuries took. And the frustration of not moving as fast as I wanted, the endless what-if thoughts, ruminating thoughts, and the feeling that my body was really working against me.
Ron, where are you?
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
And that's where journaling really came in and helped me. It helped me process everything. Those thoughts and feelings really helped keep me on track and actually stay sane throughout the entire recovery journey. All right, looking at the 3 major benefits of journaling. There certainly are a lot of reasons to journal, but when it comes to injury recovery, 3 major components stand out. Number 1 is decluttering the mind. Number 2 is capturing the journey. Number 3 is lessons learned. So we can break each one of these down. All right, looking at the first major benefit of journaling, which is decluttering the mind, trying to get those thoughts out of your head and onto paper. I read somewhere that we have around 60,000 thoughts a day, which seems like a ton. It's probably more like 6,000 thoughts a day. Either way, that's a hell of a lot of thoughts, especially if you're in the injury recovery cycle, where, let's be honest, a lot of those thoughts aren't particularly helpful. And there's a lot of what-if scenarios, worst-case predictions, overanalyzing of the future. And the problem with that really is that those thoughts, as they stay in your head, they become a lot bigger than they actually are. And when you journal and write them down, you can start to see patterns, and the same worries come up again and again. More importantly, you're able to detach from those thoughts. So what seemed huge in your head is not necessarily as big when you write it out on paper and see it looking back at you. It's just human nature, really, that our brains are wired for survival. So if we don't manage that aspect of it, it can really spiral into overdrive. So as Ryan Holiday states, it's really best to focus on the present moment and not the monsters that may or may not lie ahead, which is especially true, and that's the goal here. Stay grounded in the present and really not get lost in the hypotheticals. Writing things down to help you get them out of your head and really gain perspective is the goal. And looking at the second major benefit of journaling, which is capturing the journey. This really allows you to track progress, preserve moments, and really see how far you've come and how much adversity you've overcome. Injuries can feel really frustratingly slow day to day. It's easy to lose track of it and feel like nothing's changing. But when you document it, you really start to see the small wins. The first time you put weight on your leg again after crutches, the first day you didn't need pain meds, or the first time you didn't need to sit down to shower. Writing these things down is particularly helpful to see your progress when it's hard to notice in the moment. It really helps remind you that even though it feels like nothing is changing, you're still moving forward. So there's a saying that injury recovery isn't just a process of healing, it's a process of discovery, which is very true, because when you're forced to slow down, you gain perspective and you realize what truly matters. You might even pick up new interests or hobbies you wouldn't have otherwise tried. For me, the couple random hobbies that I picked up were chess and photography, but for you, it could be anything from reading, writing, learning a new skill. All right, looking at the third major benefit of journaling, which is finding the lesson. Let's be honest, injuries do suck, but there is almost always something positive to take away from it. For me, one of the biggest lessons learned was realizing that I was able to handle difficult things, having been through it so many times. It wasn't quite as disruptive as the previous experiences. Recovery really forces you to adapt, build resilience and mental toughness, and you learn that discomfort doesn't always mean danger, and you can figure out how to keep moving forward even when progress feels really painfully slow. For me, being forced to slow down really opened up new interests I would not have otherwise explored. And that shift in mindset really helped change a lot of things for me. Looking at the various ways to journal, because journaling really isn't just a one-size-fits-all. It's about finding what works for you and what's convenient within your schedule. The key is to experiment and mix and match what journaling is helpful and what's enjoyable, and really, most importantly, what helps you stay consistent. So here are 5 quick forms of journaling that we find beneficial. So the first form of journaling is just old school writing by hand. This is the classic journaling method, just pen to paper, writing your thoughts, feelings, experiences down. I personally really like this one because it forces you to slow down. When I physically write, it really helps me process and reflect a little bit more clearly and a little slower. Studies also show that writing by hand helps with memory and retention. So if you're working through something or tracking progress, this can be a really great option to let things sink in. And within that, you have the full sentence approach. This is what most people think of when they picture journaling. So writing in full sentences, expanding your thoughts, and really just letting your ideas flow naturally. Also, you have bullet points. So on the flip side, if you don't like the full paragraph or full thoughts, full sentences, bullet points are your best friend. Just short, quick, efficient, to the point, perfect for busy days or when you just need to jot down a few things without overthinking. Another great form of journaling is typing. So maybe handwriting isn't your thing, or maybe you just want something a little bit faster, a little more convenient. Typing is a great alternative. It's especially useful when your thoughts are flying a million miles an hour. Another great quick journaling option is voice recording. It may feel a little awkward to talk out loud or record yourself at first, but it's actually an extremely efficient way to journal. There's no pressure, no structure. Once you hit record and just talk, it's really an efficient way to get the thoughts out of your head and onto paper. You just say exactly what's on your mind, unfiltered, and it's really just a great way to process emotions. Photography is another great form of journaling. This may not be the first one that comes to mind when you think of journaling, but for me, photos really do tell a story. And looking back, I really wish I had taken more photos during my recovery. At the time, I didn't really feel like it for good reason. I wasn't really in the mood. But having photos and looking back at those, especially with how much of a growth process it is, would be nice to kind of notice those small wins and look at the adversity that you had overcome. Photography really forces you to be in the moment and really try and notice those small wins.
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
You can add a short description or notes into your photos, but photography really forces you to kind of notice your surroundings and be present in the moment. And that's one great thing that I really like about it. Lastly, form of journaling is collage. If you're really creative and you want to make a fun and memorable way to journal, a collage is a great way to do it. It's a mix of everything above. Obviously the most time consuming, but whether it's quotes, drawings, photos, magazine clippings, basically a scrapbook or visual storytelling. It does take a bit more time, but it is a great creative way to capture everything that's going on. So there's really no wrong way to journal at all. It's really about just getting those thoughts onto paper and letting those thoughts flow and being present and engaged and letting it be a meaningful process for you to help reflect and make your journey a little bit easier. Looking at various journaling prompts or journaling jump starters, we'll call them. We've all been there. You sit down to journal and suddenly nothing comes to mind. Even though you may have a million thoughts running through your head, you're not exactly sure how to get it out of your head and onto paper. So the first journaling prompt or jump starter we'll talk about is the daily download. And it's really just as simple as it sounds, just a brain dump of the events that occurred in your day.
Just some terrorists decided to send a little care package, box of goodies, which had to be neutralized before blowing up the office. So I took the rest of the day off. Glass of wine, little guitar, just relaxing.
Probably something a little bit more than it was fine, but it can be anything that happened throughout your day, whether it's funny or frustrating, something that's been bugging you for a while, but just those free thoughts just flowing, getting them out of your head. Looking at the second journaling jump starter or prompt, which is expressive writing. And this is a bit different from your traditional journaling. This isn't a casual recap of your day or making a to-do list. It's more about tackling difficult thoughts that won't leave you alone. The frustrations, fear, and regret or uncertainty that linger in the back of your mind, especially during injury recovery. Things that you haven't necessarily said out loud, but still really weigh on you. Expressive writing gives those thoughts a place to go, as opposed to just circling around in your head constantly. So it might seem really counterintuitive to dive into these really tough topics and get them out on paper, but psychologist James Penbaker has spent decades studying this and found that when people write about their deepest, most personal thoughts for just 15 to 20 minutes a day over the course of 4 sessions, it really proves to lower stress, boost immune function, and really help process difficult experiences more effectively. And why is this? Because writing helped them process what happened. It helped them make sense of their emotions and really just to mentally move forward, which made them more confident, more prepared for the next step. The same thing most certainly applies to injury recovery. When you're stuck in frustration, fear, constant uncertainty, those emotions can keep you from engaging in the healing process. So how do you actually do expressive writing, which is a great question. What you want to do is set aside 15 to 20 minutes Find a quiet spot where you can just write, type, or talk. No filters or second guessing, just raw, unedited thoughts. And you can pick something that's really been bothering you. And really the point is to be completely honest with yourself. So not worrying about grammar or structure or any of that or making it sound good. It's just letting it all out. And the more real you are about it, the more effective the whole process is. And you can kind of think of it as cleaning out a messy closet. First, when everything is just shoved in there, it might feel like total chaos. But when you start to take it all out, sort through it, put things in order, suddenly it makes a little bit of sense and you can organize what's what. And that's exactly what writing does for your thoughts. It helps you to make sense of really what's bothering you, process it, and let go of what you don't need. And when you do that, it's a whole lot easier to move forward mentally. All right, for the third and final journaling jumpstarter or prompt, we're talking about gratitude journaling. And it really isn't just one technique for this because there's a whole category of jumpstarters because there's so many great ways to practice gratitude. You've probably heard of the classic, what are you grateful for prompt, and for good reason. The more you focus on the good, the more your brain starts to notice it. So gratitude is fantastic for a number of reasons. And we're gonna try to give you a few prompts to make it as beneficial for you. It's basically like training your mind to pay attention to what's working instead of what's missing. And that naturally shifts your mindset for the better. And really because our experience in life is shaped by what we focus on and what we pay attention to, this simple habit can make a massive difference in your happiness and really improve your mental health overall.
Can we review our status here, Si? Let's look at this thing from a standpoint of status. What have we got on the spacecraft that's good?
I'll get back to you, Jane.
But as with everything, there is a catch. If you do the exact same gratitude exercise every single day, it can start to feel a little bit repetitive. So you'll probably find yourself writing down the same things, the major things in your life. So with gratitude, it's important to keep it meaningful. So it's important to change it up, really. Instead of just doing it daily, it might be beneficial to do it once a week and to experiment with different gratitude exercises to keep it fresh and actually make it really stick in your mind. We found that there are two great ways to continue to help you change it up. The first way of gratitude journaling to do that is 3 good things. And the second is the timeless thank you note. So 3 good things is just a great, easy, low effort way to focus on what's going right throughout your day without overthinking it. So every day is a little bit different, so there's always fresh content to work with. And the idea is simple. At the end of the day, just jot down 3 things that really went pretty well. It can be anything from finally sleeping without pain, or just hitting a physical therapy milestone. It can be even smaller things like being able to put shoes on again or put on your socks by yourself, which was a huge one for me after hip surgery. It can also be tiny things like finding money in your pocket or beating the checkout rush. For me, humor was a huge part of it because injury recovery is so monotonous. But when I made an effort to find at least one funny moment, it really helped to shift my mindset. Funny stuff like the awkward moment where someone holds the door for you when you're on crutches, but you're way too slow and way too far away, so you both instantly regret that interaction. Finding humor is like a little mini vacation. It's an instant getaway, a bit of a distraction. It's short but refreshing, and that's the real power of the exercise. It just trains your brain to notice the small things and the silver lining. Over time, these habits are able to shift your perspective and really make it easier to focus on progress rather than the setbacks. Another form of gratitude journaling is the timeless thank you note.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Thank you.
This may not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think of the traditional gratitude journaling. And honestly, it's a little bit of a lost art because of how effective it is. When you're recovering from an injury, you quickly realize how much of it you're not doing alone. You have so many friends, family, neighbors, doctors, physical therapists, nurses, or even coworkers who step in to help, whether it's bringing you food, driving you to appointments, or just checking in to see how you're doing. The caregiver side of it is huge, and a timeless thank you note is extremely beneficial. A lot of times we go through these experiences and we forget to take the time to acknowledge that thanks and that gratitude to others that really helped us through a difficult time. And the gratitude within a thank you note is really beyond just being polite. It actually has real benefits to both parties, both the person giving it and receiving it. And being on the receiving end of a thank you note can mean way more than you think. But a lot of people never write it or do thank you notes because they think the other person already knows I appreciate them, or it might feel awkward, or I don't know what to say. We certainly get that aspect of it because we've felt that way. But any awkwardness in delivery or in the words is completely outweighed by the impact that a thank you note can have. Like the saying goes, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a gift and not giving it. And it might sound ridiculous, but we will break down some elements of how to write a great thank you note, especially in how it relates to injury recovery. And it's obviously very easy to overthink a thank you note, but most thank you notes aren't measured by their length or about writing a perfectly crafted letter. It's about making someone feel appreciated. So keeping it real and keeping it simple is what's really important. Within that, it's very helpful to be specific. So what exactly did they help you with? Maybe they dropped off meals, checked in on you, just made you laugh when you were in a really tough spot and really needed that. So in addition to how to write the thank you note, we'll talk about how to deliver it because that's a thought process we don't normally think about. But in person is a great one, and that's a little bit of a lost art because people's schedules are busy. It might feel a little awkward, but hand delivering a thank you note makes it even more meaningful and makes it kind of a shared experience that they will remember for quite a while. Mailing something with old school snail mail is always a great way to do it. There's always something special about getting something handwritten in the mail. It's personal, intentional, and always a little bit unexpected. And in a world of quick messages, really taking the time to write and send something physical really stands out. And there's always email, which is a great option if mailing something physical isn't realistic for you. It's thoughtful, quick, and a great option for people that you may not see often, but really want to get that gratitude message across. And obviously more common for today's day and age is a quick text message, something as simple as, hey, I really appreciate what you did for me. You know, gratitude doesn't have to be fancy or formal to be meaningful. And a phone call or voicemail is obviously a great option if you're not big into writing or don't have time to send something physical. For the person on the receiving end, hearing that sincerity in the person's voice, giving that thank you is very meaningful for the person. And this may seem obvious, but the key really is actually doing it and following through with taking that action. At the end of the day, how you say thank you matters much less than actually following through on it. And looking back, you'll probably be very glad that you did follow through and express that gratitude to those people. So we've covered a lot in this video, and just to summarize a few key points that we wanted to touch on. So if you're feeling overwhelmed throughout your injury recovery, write it out. Journaling helps. If you want to track your progress or capture the small wins or big wins, write it out. If you really need a mindset shift and want to find the lessons learned, even in the setbacks, it's really not about being good at journaling. It's about making it work for you. And in reality, stress isn't just a function of the event that happened. It's really how we process that event. So we can't always control what happens, but we can control how we respond to it. And with that realization, that's where real growth starts to happen.
Great story. Compelling and rich.
And of course, controlling your emotions and your reactions, especially when you're going through an injury or dealing with pain, is way easier said than done. And we acknowledge that certainly. But that's exactly why journaling helps. It gives you a tool to process everything, make sense of the chaos, and really help keep you moving forward. And a quick challenge that might be helpful in getting you started is just to pick one method a week and see if it's helpful, whether it's a brain dump or 3 good things or expressive writing, or even just sending a thank you note, even if it's really belated. The key is just to start and give it a shot. And as always, throw some comments down below if there's any journaling tips that have been especially helpful for you or things that you'd like us to touch on. It's all about community and sharing those tips that have been helpful for others going through the process. And if you're looking for a specific journal recommendation, we obviously recommend our Bounce Back Injury Recovery Journal. It's injury focused, tailored, custom. It's packed with a lot of recovery-focused prompts, psychology exercises, and most importantly, a lot of sarcastic recovery humor to get you through the not-so-fun parts of healing. But honestly, really any notebook will do, even a blank one, just to get you started writing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.